Hello there. Why Germany doesn't give thanks to Ukraine? Yet. I would say yet because I believe they will. This is what we will discuss today, but since I'm no military expert, we will not gonna talk about tanks themselves. We will more talk about why things happening, how they happening, what could be behind the Germans' decision, and we're gonna talk today about Putin-Versteher people, or Putin's understanders. People in other countries who is basically helping Putin. Who are they? Why are they doing what they're doing? And we'll talk about Germany today. It's not just in Germany there are people like that, but in other countries too. So this is mostly what we're gonna talk about today. I'm Alina. This is my channel Enough. It's a political channel. My informed opinion on several topics like Russia, USSR, war in Ukraine, and several others about Canada and so on. I'm Russian and Canadian citizen, and I know a lot about all these topics. I'm an expert on the war in Ukraine from 2014 and up until now, and even a little bit longer than that, so from about 2013 and on. I'm quite well informed about what was happening, and I have proofs and evidence of what I'm saying. They either in the description of the videos or in the videos themselves. About me, I can talk a little bit in the end, but for now, let's go to Germany. And I want to apologize to many German people who does not support Putin, who supporting Ukraine and doing the right thing. And I will be honest with you as much as I honest with my any other subscribers. That is why I'm making my channel. Unfortunately, sometimes I have to say unpleasant things because it's true. Do you think it's pleasant to me say bad things about Russia? No, it's not. I'm also a Russian citizen as well as Canadian. I live more than over 18 years in Canada. And I'm definitely not supporting Putin. I'm fighting him. That is why in his war, I fought it in 2014. I'm fighting it now. But it is unpleasant when your country doing such terrible things. And I think Germans can relate to it how nobody else, except maybe French, but I don't think many of them remember the Napoleon time. Everybody who was witnessed it already dead. So I understand it's unpleasant, but some facts people need to know. People need to know things how it is. Otherwise, they tend to do mistakes, believe people who they shouldn't believe, and that's where the problems are coming from, in my opinion. Well, it's not just in my opinion. This is how it is. Today we're going to talk about Germany, and I'm reminding everyone that no action is an action. No making a decision is a decision. That is why we have a picture of this bombed, shelled by Russian, destroyed by Russian missile apartment building in Dnipro, Ukraine, with a lady who survived barely in her bathroom, near her bathtub. It's because we are the free world. Didn't help enough, didn't help sooner. We did not do enough to help Ukraine, so this wouldn't be happening. There are some reasons for that, and I'm not going to talk about it today. One of the reasons was that Ukraine was in 2013, for example, and even now at some point, but in 2013 especially, and like before the Maidan and before Yanukovych, their president, ran away, it was highly corrupted country. I have a whole series of videos about annexation of Crimea, illegal annexation by Russia, and I'm proving everything I say there. So far I published 2 videos, and next one is coming soon. So the point is, the Western countries had reasons not to give immediately weapons to Ukraine. But now it's almost a year there is a war, and Ukraine is the one who's standing between us, the free world, and the butcher from Russia. And I want you to, people from Germany, look very closely at this building, because this happening in Ukraine. It can happen in Germany. I'll talk about it more in the end. But for now, let's talk about a little bit of German, why Germany may be hesitant about certain things. This is from Popular Politics channel, and this man is Konstantin Egert. He's a journalist, and this is another journalist and political scientist, Michael Naki. But I won't show you the video itself. I'm just want to summarize a few things Mr. Egert says and said, and I actually know that myself as well. But probably there is somewhere maybe his written words you can refer to, but I mostly refer to this video, and the video is in Russian. So basically, Mr. Egert saying that there are few historical details we need to know about Germany. First of all, in the past, when they had the Bismarck in power, and he was warned Germans not to fight with Russia. And he was right in many ways, and Russia was an empire and a strong country at the time, and plus neighbors like Germany and Russia should more cooperate and work together than fight, one would think. And so was Germany. That is why Germans were thinking that way. It happened to be that Germany was a reason for World War I and World War II. And lots of people died, and lots of bad things happened. After the World War II, when the Germany was divided in two parts, East Germany and West Germany, the chancellor of West Germany, Willy Brandt, also was trying to make peace with Russia, try to negotiate, because the goal of Germany at the time was unification of Germany. They really wanted Germany back as it was, East and West together. But the situation changed now. East and West already together. And another reason why sometimes in Germany there are some sort of movements towards Putin, towards Russia, and there are different people in society, in German society. There are German aristocrats, there are left people who's on the left side, and the German businesses. Many of them, let's put it mildly, dislike United States. It doesn't have any real reason, because during World War II, United States was helping to save the world from Hitler. And so was Russia. Yet they kind of lean towards Russia, kind of in opposition to United States or something like that. Partly I can explain it by saying that maybe maybe in Germany and in Europe, and in United States and in Canada, there was lots of Russian propagandist channels, like Russia Today, for example, who was every day pumping Russian propaganda to people. And but now, even after when the war in Ukraine started in 2014, and Russia annexed Crimea and disturbed two pieces of Donbass, it wasn't that mass-scale atrocities. Even then there were atrocities. If you watch my video about Bucha massacre, I was saying at the time that in 2014 it was Slavyansk. There was also bodies dug up in the downtown of Slavyansk, which was under the Russian control for a while, and after it was liberated by Ukraine, they find the same atrocities there. Yet, many people in Europe, in some other countries, prefer to keep their eyes closed, business as usual, nobody wants to piss off the nuclear power, this and that. But after what happened in February 24th, 2022, when full-scale invasion happened, many people changed their mind in a hurry, and many German people did, and some rats were started to abandon sinking ship. So now situation changed. Let's talk about some people who called Putin's enablers, or German called them Putin-Verstehers, Putin understanders. So people who, because were bribed by Putin, or because they have some sort of business interests, or because of some other reasons they were threatened in some way, they kind of turn to be Putin's understanders who try to make business with him, who try to say, well, maybe we should be understanding him more, maybe this, maybe that. And one of them is a former chancellor of Germany, Gerhard Schroeder. He was Putin's buddy, and their ties together going way back. Before him, Helmut Kohl was a chancellor of Germany, and he has very big personal relationship with Russian President Yeltsin. And Schroeder at first was saying that no, we should keep Russia at a distance, but then he changed his mind in a hurry as soon as he get elected.
Их дружба уходит корнями в далекое прошлое. В 2004 году президент России Владимир Путин был гостем на праздновании 60-летия канцлера Германии Герхарда Шрёдера.
This is channel Deutsche Welle. They're saying that the friendship between Putin and Schroeder going way back. Even on 60th birthday of Schroeder, Putin was invited and so on.
В том же году Шрёдер принимал Путина у себя дома.
At the same year, Putin visited Schroeder at home. So Schroeder and Putin has quite a lot of ties together. And we'll talk about it a little bit more today. And even German party, his own party members, were very shocked that after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Schroeder was keep supporting Putin.
И ему не нужны деньги, у него просто, я не знаю, как это описать, и это позор для нашей партии.
This is Mr. Schrabe from his party, and he's saying this is a shame. Schroeder is a shame to their party.
На этой неделе из офиса Шрёдера в знак протеста уволился персонал, так и не сумев убедить его разорвать связи с Путиным.
At the same week, when this gentleman was talking, it was March, I believe, the whole crew of, whole team of Schroeders left him, including a long-time helper. They just walked away because they could not understand that Schroeder still continued his ties with Putin, and they were disgusted by that, and they left. Schroeder was famous by supporting Putin in many occasions, even in 2004 when there was Orange Revolution in Ukraine. I'll probably talk about it in some other video, more or less, more closely. It's about that it was kind of like a peaceful Maidan when Putin really invested himself into electing Viktor Yanukovych to be president of Ukraine. Putin basically campaigning for Yanukovych at the time. And yet, Ukrainians didn't elect him. So Putin and his crew falsified, and the Ukrainians falsified the election. And everybody knew that. This is the article of Spiegel, Gerhard Schroeder's dangerous liaison, about criticism of Schroeder and about Putin. Basically, the most recent question surrounding the Schroeder-Putin courtship surfaced last week, following energetic attempts by Putin to influence the election in Ukraine, including massive financial support and campaign appearances supporting government candidate Yanukovych, as well as premature recognition of a Yanukovych victory despite clear indications of massive fraud. Schroeder came to Putin's defense, and truly convinced that the Russian president wants to transform Russia into democracy, apparently, and that he's doing so out of a deeply held conviction, he said, as if that wanted gem of a quote. A few days earlier, Schroeder has referred to Putin as flawless Democrat. You can see now what flawless Democrat doing in Ukraine. But at the time, people didn't know that, but Schroeder was criticized for that. And Germans understood that Schroeder is wrong. But now even at the time when it was 10 years before Russia invaded Ukraine. Later, Russia invaded Ukraine, and then what happened? Many people really understood that full-scale invasion, bombings, and everything. Many rats started to abandon sinking ship, but not Schroeder. He was still trying to find a way to meet with Putin, and he actually stopped his holiday and flew to Moscow. He visited Moscow, I think even twice since the full-scale invasion started. And he admitted that. And also...
Шрёдер серьезно поляризует немецкое общество. С начала войны он дважды бывал в гостях у московского друга.
This is Deutsche Welle again. They saying that Schroeder is seriously polarizing German society. Since the beginning of the war, they mean full-scale invasion, Schroeder twice visited his Moscow friend twice.
Да, действительно, Шрёдер был в Москве.
This is Dmitry Peskov, press secretary of President of Russia. He is saying, yes, Mr. Schroeder visited Moscow.
Недавно, и действительно он имел очную встречу с президентом Путиным.
Recently. And he had a personal meeting with Russian President Putin.
Конечно же, бывший канцлер, как и все, обеспокоен энергетическим кризисом.
Of course, ex-chancellor, like everybody else, is worried about energetic crisis, energy crisis, and so on. So Schroeder, the big part of it that Schroeder lied why he came to Moscow. This is Medusa paper, and they saying that Schroeder met Putin, and he said he's not gonna break up with Putin or anything. And during his talking with journalist, Schroeder called war in Ukraine a mistake of Russian government, but said that for solving this conflict, we need kind of negotiations from both sides. Somebody have to give up something, and yet on the 26th of July, when it all was happening, people started to know that Schroeder came to Moscow. And former chancellor told to the journalist that he came to Russia for vacation. He said it's nice to have vacation in Russia. But his wife, So-Young Schroeder Kim, said that Schroeder came to take part in negotiations about energy policy. And that was true. There is another article of Medusa in the same kind of saying that. So his wife basically gave him up about that. And despite he lied to journalists at first, he had to kind of admit that.
Но мог ли Шрёдер действительно сам, ни с кем не согласовывая, поехать в Россию?
Deutsche Welle asking the question, could Schroeder came just to Russia by himself without agreeing with German government? Or was sent by German government maybe?
Я не могу себе представить, что в настоящее время...
This is Thomas Jäger, a politologist and professor of Köln University. He said he cannot imagine...
Федеральное правительство, судя по тому, как оно себя позиционирует в данном конфликте,
I cannot imagine that the federal government, especially judging how they positioning themselves during this conflict with Ukraine,
может использовать Герхарда Шрёдера в качестве посланника.
How could they use Gerhard Schroeder as the emissar, or that he believed the German government didn't send the Schroeder there. And this is channel Popular Politics. And now we're going to talk a little bit why Mr. Schroeder is such a big buddy of Putin. Schroeder was part of many kind of like board of directors of several Russian most richest companies, like Rosneft, like Nord Stream, like even Gazprom, and his total earnings in 2022 from all the Russian holdings, it was about $1 million. It wasn't just Schroeder, it was different other people from Germany, from France, and so on. And this article saying that Gerhard Schroeder and Matthias Waring will leave board of directors of Rosneft. And why would they do that? Finally.
Это одни из, там на самом деле их несколько. Кнайсель, бывший австрийский политик, и еще ряд французов был в совете директоров. Но
Kneisel from Austria and several French people saying Mr. Shevedinov.
эти два жирных, насытившихся, нажива путинских дружка, я уж позволю, за деньги выполняли любую прихоть Владимира.
These bodies, Putin's bodies, for money they received from Russia, they were just basically, they call them Putin's prostitutes. And Varing, by the way, was ex-Stasi. Stasi is like German KGB.
Торговали именем, торговали репутацией.
They trade their name and reputation for Putin. And that's what Schroeder did. And the document itself is saying, which Popular Politics and Navalny Group, Anti-Corruption Foundation, asked European Union and European Parliament. They provided the list of 6,000 warmongers and enablers of war, people who make this war possible. And they wanted people like Schroeder and so on be in this list. And
Пунктом номер 8. Принять список Навального, ACF, Anti-Corruption Foundation, нас из 6 тысяч коррупционеров. А 9-й пункт – это в случае невыхода Шрёдера, Варнига и прочих, там, вставьте имя, их очень много, Кнайсель, Эко, очень-очень много имен. Вот 9-й пункт, я вас обращаю.
he's talking about points 8 and 9 when the European Parliament talked to European Union and they wanted, they passed the document which said calls on the Council to extend the list of individuals directly targeted by EU sanctions, including Russian oligarchs, taking into account the list of 6,000 individuals presented by Navalny's foundation. Calls for an extension of EU sanctions, Russian-affiliated media entities operating in the EU, specifically GRU-affiliated news agencies in Faros. Notes, that's the point 9 he's talking about very closely. Former politicians such as Esko Echo, François Fillon and Wolfgang Schüssel have recently resigned from their positions in Russian firms and strongly demands that others such as Karin Kneisel, Gerhard Schroeder do the same. Further calls on the Council to extend the list of individuals targeted by EU sanctions to the European Union, basically to those Russian companies and politicians who will continue to do the business with the continue stays in Russian companies. That is why the very next day Schroeder and Waring just run away, like rats from the sinking ship.
Фион, Шрёсель, в случае невыхода их из Совета директоров российских.
Yeah, and they know what's gonna happen if the sanctions will be applicable to them. And about that, talking Russian Ivan Zhdanov, director of Anti-Corruption Foundation.
Мне бы хотелось, конечно же, чтобы какой-то институт репутации, что ли, чтобы его...
I would like to have in other countries at least some sort of a reputation, value of reputation. Of course, Schroeder and some other people from Europe, they thought they are untouchables. They were thinking that they're not going to be touched by sanctions because they're from Europe. And what Europe going to do? They can't forbid European citizens from Europe enter Europe. But they can, and they will, apply sanctions to the accounts, to the properties and so on of people under the sanctions. And that's what Schroeder was afraid of. And this is what was happening. At the time, Schroeder published an article when he came back from Moscow after negotiations with Putin. He was trying to say that we need to negotiate, we need this, we need that. And he offered himself as a negotiator and helper, but it's not gonna help. German government decided not to go for it. Schroeder was widely criticized for his ties with Russia, and there was several sanctions applicable to him. Even he was stripped of some benefits he has as a former chancellor, his office and so on. and even his party wanted to get rid of him, and he was trying to sue Germany and so on. And my point is that there were several. Basically, Schroeder was one of the biggest gem in Putin's pocket of bought foreign politicians. So these are the Putin's enablers, Putin's understanders or Putin-Verstehers from Germany, who also helped Germany to be dependent on Russian oil and gas, because Schroeder personally was advocating for Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, and he became one of the board of directors of those projects. And even Angela Merkel, I can say that I liked her in the past, but I'm just not pleased with her, because she made Germany heavily dependent on Russian oil and gas. Well, not like she made, she just didn't make Germany not dependent. Especially when several countries like Canada, United States, Baltic countries warned Germany. Even Putin himself warned Germany that he gonna use as a weapon. He gonna use as a weapon natural resources. He gonna use it as a weapon and basically sitting at the gas tap and say, you be nice to me, I'll open you the gas on oil. You're not, I'm gonna turn it off. And you're gonna freeze. And allow your country to be so heavily dependent, it's just plainly not a smart decision. And luckily, finally, Germany started to understand that they cannot be dependent on Russia, especially that heavily. They just simply cannot. And part of it fault of Mr. Schroeder and several other German politicians and even chancellors. At the time, Navalny posted, this is also Deutsche Welle, mostly we're talking about Deutsche Welle today, he posted an article about basically calling Schroeder Putin's errand boy.
У меня нет документа, на котором черным по белому написано: вот, господин Шрёдер, ваш портфель набитый деньгами. Но у меня нет никаких сомнений, что Шрёдер получает тайные платежи.
I don't have a document in which would be written black and white. Here, Mr. Schroeder is your suitcase full of money. But I have no doubts that Schroeder receiving secret payments. Well, he received open payments, right, in several Russian companies, big companies, because Rosneft and Nord Stream and so on. It's even Gazprom. It's basically the best companies in Russia, the most highly paid. And as I said, it's about $1 million payment. So this is Russian propagandist Vladimir Solovyov. This is the message Russia sending to Germany. And recently, with that situation with the tanks and stuff like that, I want to tell you about that a little bit more. So basically the reasons why Germany hesitant about giving tanks, it's those reasons I named already, that partly it's a historical situation, partly it's belief in Germany that they need to be now, after what they had done in the past, they need to be peace-loving country, and they truly started to believe it, and they trying to live up to their expectations. Another thing is that those Putin-Verstehers as well didn't help. And another thing is Germany really making basically a law that they don't giving weapons to the open conflicts. And but the recent hesitation with decision of giving tanks, it just brought Putin and Russia huge joy. Putin is a bully, and every time he see Europe doing something or United States doing something which democratic countries do, they asking people, they negotiating, they trying to agree. Putin see it as a weakness. They really rejoiced about that, they happy. And they thought Germany is afraid. And this is what Solovyov has to say.
Шольц говорит, что агрессия России мы должны победить.
Scholz is saying we should win, we should stop Russian aggression. Scholz.
Значит, мы должны войти в Берлин.
It means we have to come to Berlin.
И не выходите оттуда никогда.
And never leave it, ever.
Поставил свою версию колесных танков Макрон.
You, Macron, provided your version of tanks on wheels.
Значит, мы должны войти в Париж.
It means we have to come to Paris.
И не выводить больше оттуда свои войска никогда.
And never leave it and take our troops out of there, ever.
Глупцы!
Idiots. Fools.
Горбачев, Ельцин,
Gorbachev and Yeltsin, fools. Are fools.
которые вывели наши войска из Восточной Европы.
Who took our forces from Eastern Europe.
Глупец Хрущев закрыл
Stupid Khrushchev
нашу военную базу в Финляндии.
closed our military base in Finland.
Дернулись бы сейчас все эти.
Would those people now jump like that against us? If we would have those bases. So this is what Russian propaganda is saying. So they send in clear message to Mr. Scholz how they gonna treat him. As far as I saw in many Russian tanks in Ukraine right now, it written on the tanks to Berlin. As far as I remember my lessons in geography, Berlin is Germany. So Germany, you are next. Congratulations. You chosen ones. If to be serious, I can say that, well, German people are intelligent. I believe they will make a right choice. I hope they will realize who are Putin-Verstehers in their countries are, and they will be under sanctions or in jail for a treason against their country and enabling Russian butcher Putin to kill Ukrainians. Because Ukraine is the only thing which stands between us, the free world, and Russia. Aggressive Putin's regime. Putin isn't Russia, but he's ruling Russia right now. He's a Russian Tsar. And the message Solovyov just said, this is a message of Putin. This is what Putin wants. So, no action is action. No make any decision is a make any decision. You either make a decision to help Ukraine now, or whatever happening in Ukraine will gonna happen on your soil. And before that, you will have a lot more refugees running from the war, and you will suffering for years from the consequences of that war Putin intend to drag as long as he can. Because as soon as the war is going, he's still in power. If he lose the war, he will lose power and lose his life. Putin will not stop. The sooner you will help Ukraine, the sooner the whole world will live in peace. Include Germany. And right now, Germany has a chance to be on the right side of the history. Please make your choice and help Ukraine. Thank you for watching. If you didn't meet me before, I can tell a couple things about myself. For the people who already know me, well, see you later. About me, I am an economist and financier in the past. I lived in Russia most of my life, and for over 18 years now I'm living in Canada. I'm traveling the world. I write mystery books and some political books. I was deeply researched the war in Ukraine and situation on Maidan in 2013, in 2014, war in Ukraine. And all this time I wrote some political book. I published it in Russian site for free in Russian. So now I'm trying to translate this book, and I'm publishing some videos in Russian about that. So I am the person who actually met KGB people, who traveled a lot of countries, several countries. I can say a lot, but several countries and 42 states of United States and many provinces of Canada. I have subscribers from over 30 countries, and I collect my information not just from watching some sort of a news and making my opinion and decision without deep personal knowledge of different things. And I have friends all over Ukraine and all over Russia, so I have the fresh information about stuff like that, and everything I say you can verify because I provide information where I get it from. Except for my personal experience, which I am telling you about. So that is why I put my perspective and my opinion apply it to the situation we have right now in Ukraine, for instance. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.